Hi, Dad. How are you today?
Hey, Jordana. Doing great. Getting ready to spring into summer. It's been a very cold and wet May here, but we're just now returning from our wonderful trip on the Danube River, courtesy of Hallmark. It was wonderful.
It was. I was so surprised they did another trilogy, which I was excited for. We love the Wedding
Yes.
Tale trilogy.
Well, I think that they did the trilogy because they had all the filming equipment in Budapest and in Austria and Vienna. And they figured, why not, since we got all the equipment and all the cast and characters, let's spend time spending this period in the Danube Valley, one of the most beautiful river valleys in the world, and bring it to our Hallmark fans.
Yeah.
How'd you like them?
I loved this series. First of all, I loved seeing a part of the world that I've never seen.
Yes.
And aboard a ship, a cruise line, a river cruise.
Yes, and did you note the name of the river cruise company?
So it was the Emerald Cruise Line. And
Yes.
this is a real cruise line. They actually filmed aboard the Emerald Sun, which is one of Emerald Cruise's,
That's right.
their actual ships that take this passage.
The Emerald Cruise Line got their money's worth with Hallmark. I mean, we always think of the Viking cruise because that's what we see on television. But here we have another cruise line, the Emerald Cruise Line, and they're very well known also.
Yeah, but in the United States, I just don't know. Like you said, Viking may be just more popular here, but in Europe, who knows what the most popular.
That's
but
right, yes.
What a fascinating and phenomenal way to see these cities.
And Hallmark gave us a love story, not one, but three, about cruising and finding love.
Now, I'm curious. Does the Emerald Cruise Line guarantee love? Because each time these characters found love immediately,
Right.
like right after they got off the taxi or they jumped on the boat. I'm very curious.
Within 2 days, you're in love, and within a week, you're getting married.
And not only the main character, but also our supporting cast. We had our resident supporting cast member we'll speak of later, but she found love on each of the ships.
Well, she was a full-time cruiser, and we know people who go from cruise to cruise to cruise, and they meet all kinds of men or women, and it's not unusual for this to happen. And we saw it all by Hallmark.
Yeah, I'm curious, Emerald, if that is, just like the Love Boat. Remember, we had Julie and Captain Stubing, I think, take us on the Love Boat and finding this, and they even made the little joke about being the Love Boat. And so I loved
the character who made for the continuity between all three of these. Her name was Betty.
So Betty was the castmate who was the supporting character role, who was like the busybody of the ship, and she was always on them. And she was played, actually, I wrote it down. Let me find it.
Catherine Disher.
Yeah. Yes, and she's a phenomenal actress that was so known. She has, 7 Gemini nominations and 2 awards. And
she's well known for over 20 to 30 years in the movies and in the TV series. And they were featuring Catherine Disher in this series also.
In all 3 movies.
Yes, and she played a very nice part.
She did, and she was a busybody also in another Hallmark series called The Good Witch, which was also, she was with our leading lady in the last of the 3 trilogies. So it was fun to see them again together. But she was phenomenal. And then we also had on all 3 movies, we did have supporting characters that were seen in all 3 movies.
Each of the 3
And
films.
so that was our cruise director, we'll call her, our Julie to our Teddy is what her name was in this one, and that was Catherine Drysdale, and I thought she played a phenomenal part, knowing all of our supporting and cast all the cruise ship people, and taking that lead. And then we had our captain, who had the captain table, and that was Captain Magnuson, and that was played by Mark Holden, and I thought he played a phenomenal role.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And of course, that's why they filmed all 3 of these in the Budapest area, because they had their character actors in place for the movies.
So we're going to talk about, because we missed filming last week. So we are going to talk about last week, the Royal Getaway, which was the second of the series. And then we'll talk about last night's, which was the Kissing Stars. So what did you think of the Royal Getaway? I know you don't usually love royal shows.
Well, the Royal Getaway, again, featured the various countries, Vienna, Budapest, Germany, and again, it was a love story, and it occurred within 2 or 3 days, and we hope they lived
Happily ever kind of like in royalty, right? So this was about Jessica Sippos played Ava, and she was an art gallery manager, and so she this was supposed to be her wedding honeymoon trip, and so she ended up not getting married, and almost a year later she had to go on this cruise.
She had to go on the cruise, and again, people have their wedding scheduled, and for some reason
doesn't happen.
The wedding doesn't happen.
But
yes,
she happened to find a duke on the cruise that she was going on, who was trying to find himself. So he was a duke who wasn't sure if he wanted to be
and he didn't
ruling his
want
country.
her to know his royal background.
No. So this was played by Dan Genote, I think is how you pronounce his name. He played Duke Joseph, and he just went by Joe on the cruise ship, just Joe. And I thought it was a really cute story. She was kind of on a hunt throughout these countries looking for a piece of artwork by this Tobias.
The artist,
yes. The artist, and ended up that the Duke had given it, or the family had given it to his brother as a wedding gift. So he knew of this artist, and we just kind of followed their love story.
And it was a love story, and it was a very interesting love story. I'm not sure how plausible it was, but it was a pleasant evening of entertainment.
Yeah, it was good. And so that was that one. And I thought it was, if you haven't seen it, it would be a light, airy, nice movie in the summertime to stream if you haven't seen that one.
And if you're into royalty.
Yeah, if you're into the royalty. Yes. The next one, which was last night, we watched Love on the Danube, which was called Kissing Stars.
Kissing Stars, that's correct. Yes.
Now, this one was about a rom-com cruise ship. It was they were having, reminded me, Hallmark does this. So every winter, Hallmark has a cruise that they do over the holidays, where they do one of their holiday features they play, and then they have their cast on the cruise line. So we can meet and greet our favorite
that's right.
Our favorite stars.
It's a theme cruise.
Yes. And that's what this was. So there was stars aboard, and their fans were able to come to this
and mingle with the stars.
Yep. And so it was a cute idea, and I thought it was appropriate for Hallmark since they have one. And I can't remember what cruise line. I think it's Celebrity or something that Hallmark
probably out of
on.
Miami, Florida.
Yes, which we definitely are interested in going, Hallmark, if you send us. And so this one was cute. Sarah Power, who, like I said, was in Good Witch, Schitt's Creek, and more. She definitely
in a lot of
things.
Series,
she played our leading lady, and so she was a PR director who had just been laid off, and her friend, actually, who they were roommates, was Teddy, the cruise director, to say, on the boat. So she happened to get this job to be one of, I don't know if they're called handlers or what, of one of these celebrities.
I think she was sort of like a gopher.
Well, no, she was the publicist for him.
Publicist, but she was sort of to help put the things together.
And to keep the star in control, to make sure he showed up for all the events and everything. And our star was played by, our star, and I think his name was Trip. Was it Trip?
His name was Trip.
Right?
There's a masculine name for you. Good old Trip. And that was Brendan Penny. And
he's from the Hallmark series Chesapeake Shores and so many Hallmark movies. So if anybody watches Hallmark, you would definitely recognize him. He is a cutie. And so what did you think of last night's movie?
Well, again, it's a a love story, a rom-com. The characters were unusual. The antagonist of the story was a person that was much shorter than the rest of the cast.
Oh yes. What was his name? I can't. Was it Liam?
It was Liam.
Liam. Yeah.
So they give Liam a name, Liam, and the two lovebirds were much taller. I think that Sarah Powers is about 5'9" or 5'10", so she could be a basketball player. And Brandon Penny is around 6 foot tall, and their adversary was about 5'6". And being 5'6", I would feel a little adversarial to somebody about 6 foot tall.
I think that was kind of what it was meant to be. He played a great part, kind of just keeping everybody in line, and that was his job.
Yes, well, he was the antagonist.
Yeah.
And it was a rom-com on a rom-com cruise.
Yeah.
And so that sort of fits in. And it was very pleasant. It was a fun evening. Of course, the boy gets the girl, or the girl gets the guy, and everybody lives happily ever after, we hope. But it was interesting. But what was most interesting was the fact that it showed such beautiful scenery of the Central European region through Vienna. We were in Vienna there, and it was in Budapest. And for those of our viewing audience who've never been, that's a wonderful area to visit, to make plans in the future to go to Budapest and Vienna and Prague and through the valley of the Danube River.
Yeah, and you mentioned like that when they got to him, you knew they were going to go to the church, they were going to go to these things, the places to see.
And it's very easy to travel because most of the people speak English. The euro is the standard currency, so everybody takes the euro, their currency, and it's a very lovely place to visit. The people are very nice, and the scenery is gorgeous, and it's old. It goes back hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years, and it's just like you see it on Hallmark.
It was, I mean, what a great idea of Hallmark. And I don't know, because we kept seeing commercials for the Emerald Cruise Line even before this series began.
Well, and if you're single, go take an Emerald Cruise, and maybe in a week you'll find the love of your life.
But it's such a great way to travel, to be able to see all these places.
And speaking of traveling, where are we going next week with Hallmark?
So Hallmark, we are starting our Passport to Love. So June in Hallmark used to be weddings, if you remember.
That's right.
But now they kind of switched it because I think they're loving this travelogue. And we are doing Passport to Love again this year.
Yeah, and they're going to Spain.
They're going to Spain. So this is to Barcelona forever. Now, not only for one movie again. So we are having two. We're having a little mini series. And not only, I am so excited for this because two of their leading ladies are in this. They're featuring Allison Sweeney, who is amazing and is in so many. She's in our,
oh my God, yes.
She's in our Wedding Veil series, which we loved. And then Ashley Williams, who is in so many Hallmark movies too. So they're both in this. So they not only swept themselves off to Barcelona because this is filmed there, but they also brought two main hitters over there with them for this movie. So I think this is going to be really good 2 weeks coming up.
Now, the 2 weeks, this next week is Barcelona.
Both of them are Barcelona.
Both are in Barcelona.
So it's going to be Barcelona forever. So two, and then with the next two ones, I think it's Panchachichu or whatever that place is. We're going Michu Picchu or
Machu Picchu.
That place we're going. When I saw ahead of
down
and then
in
something
Peru.
else. Oh, down in Peru. That's why we do this
And what's
together.
interesting is that Hallmark is taking you to exotic places that are really easily gotten to, and tourists love going there. But also they're bringing in their love genre, their love for life, for zest, and for marriage, or maybe not. And they invite our listening audience to join us, to join them in finding love
Yeah,
around the world.
Around the world. And just by watching Hallmark, you feel like you're in these countries and you visited. And then also, I feel like just by seeing some of these movies, you kind of know what heavy hitters to go when you're going to travel these places. Like I already started looking up on Emerald Cruise, to look up river cruises and rankings and stuff, and how Emerald is one of, the premier river cruises.
Yes, you don't get seasick on Emerald Cruise.
It doesn't go very fast.
No, and it goes on a very smooth river. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go down. It just goes along in a very, very defined way.
And I love that they filmed on the cruise. A lot of the places there, a lot of those scenes were right from there. And then we got to see part of Europe there that you can't see from other places.
The Hallmark people seem to have a feeling for what their audience wants to see and to hear. And I commend them for listening to us and maybe spending a little more time enjoying the world and bringing love and happiness for it all.
Yeah.
But until then,
to Barcelona we
go. Adios, amigos. We'll see you next week in Barcelona.
Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Night.